Okay, all,
That
we are
light- that thing is-
Well, I
live.
know that BRI is gonna be
The,
continuing to
the
collect
tanker that
PFAS
comes in, I was shocked.
because it got
Oh, yeah.
reasons to do it, which is-
Okay,
it's like, screw the federal government, we
We'll
think
do
this
it.
I'm so loud. Open to the Resiliency and Sustainability, actually September meeting on August 26th, next week being a holiday, and it is 4:10. If anybody needs a copy of the agenda and minutes, we have copies here. And where do I have my copies? Shall we start with the minutes to see if everybody's had a chance to read the minutes and acceptance of the minutes? And why am I still fumbling here?
The minutes are redlined, so are we accepting the red lines?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nancy sent them, I made some corrections and didn't bother to update them.
The one I sent yesterday, everything had been cleaned up.
Oh, it had? I guess I grabbed the wrong one.
It's all right.
Sorry,
Forgive you, Mary Ann.
I was trying to get the agenda out before the meeting started today.
I move we accept the minutes as corrected.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. All right. The first thing we're going to talk about tonight is the grant that we've been struggling with for the last month. We were in pretty good shape. We still are. However, I've been trying to nail things down with the consultant that I had worked in Georgetown with the study we're doing. Basically, what we learned is we have to be really specific, and probably Tim knows this. We have to be really specific what we're asking the consultant to quote us on. And we were probably a little too general. However, she got back to us and said what she could do. We also learned a lot, actually. This same study was done in 2000. We kept talking about it by Wright Pierce. And they did it in phases. So this weekend was able to, with Margaret's help, dig out, and Christy's help, dig out the old, and they have the whole, they have the questionnaire that they use, they have the announcement, how they did it, everything, which can be a good, I think, good help to us. We have determined that we don't feel we need the consultant to be in at this point. However, for her to manage the results of the data, that's where we would need her expertise. That's where we need the money for the grant. What I'm going to do is I've been talking to Tim and a few people, and I'm sorry, not Tim, Ken. I wasn't sure if you were in town when this all broke loose yesterday, so.
No, well, I was in town, but I missed it.
Yeah, so but at any rate, we're going to discuss tonight, I think, where we are. I think we're still in good shape. We're going to have to do some revamping of how we present the budget. And Ken spent a lot of time on this, so I was asked if he would kind of explain our thinking here. And whatever you'd like me to preface before that, I can do that.
Do we want to start? I think the whole turmoil, for lack of a better word, has been a lot exactly what the WaterWise program would entail, where the money would be going, and exactly what the hydrologist would deliver. I think we all agree that we want to gather as much information on the wells in town, key things, obviously where it is, any bit of self-reported information the homeowner can provide, if they know gallons per minute, what sort of treatment, do they have a softener, do they have a filter, do they have reverse osmosis, have they have issues with seawater intrusion, get that as much as we can. Then I think our thought, and maybe I was a little naive, it said, all right, we passed all this great data to the hydrologist. She comes back with a list of saying, here's the state of water in Harpswell, this area you should restrict, because we see a lot of seawater intrusion, maybe strict building here. In this area, you may need to have deeper wells, whatever. That was sort of, I think our thought was there would be really useful information. I think it still be gleaned, come back from the hydrologist. And then the town can make decisions, whether it be planning decisions or information to, new people building a well have useful information. And I think that is still our goal. Where I think we started running a little trouble is exactly articulating what we wanted back from the hydrologist, because apparently it's not as simple as I outlined.
Yeah, so basically, her suggestion is, so what we have is, we have a geodatabase on the information from 2000. That's gonna need to be married with the new information. And basically what she's saying, she thinks we can accomplish, we will do the basic data collection with a survey. Originally, we were talking about something a little more fancier, but we can do the same type of survey where you just have a questionnaire, it goes out to homeowners, you ask them to fill it in and return it. We will probably be able to set it up. I'm going to set up a meeting with Amelia, who's our communications person. I think we'll be able to do an online version as well, similar as the comp plan. I think we can do that in-house. Carol doesn't have to set that up. We would find out from everybody what their concerns are. And then we would be at a point to say, okay, what seems to be the biggest issues and what's our next step? She will compile all the data and get it all digitized so that we can use it. She will even do the septic if we ask that question. Our septic is not digitized, and that's a whole, we weren't even considering septic at this point, but who knows?
I think the idea is let's gather some basic
As much
stuff,
information as we can get from people.
even if it's not immediately analyzed, let's
Right.
baseline it.
So basically, we're gonna update the information on wells and septic systems, and she will create a single geodatabase for each and develop a mechanism to keep the data up to date going forward.
But we do the collecting.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do it with a survey,
Okay.
with a
Yep.
paper survey, and ask people.
Yep.
We can still ask them, we have to discuss this. What has come out, especially at the meeting with the selectmen last week, is there's a lot of concern that people will not give information if it is too closely related to where they live and who has it. So they did a pretty good job, a good job, I think, in the letter that went out in 2000 to all the homeowners, sort of stating that you fill out this form, you did not have to sign it unless you wished. And I think, and there's a way to talk about going out and still taking your picture on your well and have it upload to a database. We do it now with our Picture Post project, and we set that up ourselves. So I think we will be able to take the first cut at this in-house. I think we've learned it's going to take a lot of, before we get into even doing the survey, we're going to need to have a lot of publicity and need to be sitting at voting booths and talking about the project and trying to get people to, maybe with the drought now,
And the comp plan.
yeah, and the comp plan, feel it's important for them to give us the information.
So, Marianne, I just want to note, looking at this information from the previous surveys, it seemed like they they did it in 2 phases, although I can't find any records of the second phase.
I can't, yeah.
But the first phase was they did this survey, they gathered the data, but it seemed like the goal of it was to discover where there was water quality issues in town. They were looking at petroleum or
Petrochemicals, right?
yeah, contamination, saltwater contamination, and road salt contamination. So there were, and it may be bacteria, whatever else. But I think that their goal was a little bit different, and I think that it's important, I think it's important that we define what our end goal is in this, because it's not the same. Theirs was really about contaminants, and ours is more about quality and quantity, and kind of mapping it throughout the town.
Are you talking about Georgetown or the 2020
The
study?
2020 study. But this
Not
is
2020, 2000.
2000, yeah. Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
Pierce said.
that one.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we were saying the same thing.
Too many numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what I think is like just a really big difference is, but also the other thing I was gonna say is that I was looking at the comp plan implementation
Yeah.
earlier that Ken has in front of him, and the implementation for water
Let's read it.
directly
Let's read it.
correlates kind of with this project. So it's got 4 items. One's like mapping wells, mapping septics, to simplify. And then there's 2 other that I can't remember, but it would be like a 3-phase project. And so this would kind of align with the first 2 items.
Right. So let me just read them to you. Basically, collect, update, maintain data on current wells. Build on the data from previous plans to create a database of well locations, capacity, and depth.
We're amazing.
I wished I had that wording 2 weeks ago. Collect, update, maintain data on current septic systems, building on data, yada, yada. Develop a groundwater study to update the existing groundwater capacity study, including consideration of new well and subsurface disposal technology. Encourage homeowners to test private wells and provide results to the town. Or help cover the costs of private well testing and require that the results are provided to the town. I mean, this, should have looked at this.
That's our guidebook.
That's our guidebook.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives it more purpose because you're working with the goals of the comp plan.
Yeah, yeah.
So we
Tim.
ha I was going,
No, go ahead.
no. You had your hand
Mary
up.
Ann, can I have that? I'd like to
trying to
put that in the
Yeah,
document
yeah,
somewhere.
Yeah.
I just want to come back to the hydrologist and what the hydrologist might or might not be able to do. I was going to make a comment that it would be good to have the 2001 plan because we would want to repeat questions in the same way to make sure it's consistent, which we do. But as I look over this, I think, okay, we get all this information in, what will it really tell us? And I have some concerns that it may not tell us a whole lot if we sent this out. So part of what I think it would be good to have would be to work with the hydrologist now. And I think a body of work would be to review what is in the database at present and consider of the questions in here, which questions are worth repeating. Because I'm not sure we need to repeat all of them, though we could. But I would want to have a plan for what does the hydrologist really think they're going to be able to do with the survey information? Because I'm not convinced that the information that will be gathered through this is going to answer the kinds of questions that Ken raised. For example, will it really provide enough information for us for a hydrologist to give the town a professional opinion on where the town might regulate water use? It's a pretty big recommendation. And the question is whether the hydrologist feels as if a survey like this would provide the adequate information to provide that kind of a statement. I don't know, but I think it would be worth asking before we head into it. Now, the hydrologist doesn't have to be involved in the process of gathering the data, even getting it into the database, whatever. They don't have to be part of that process. But I do think we need to make sure that they're going to be able to do something with the data if we collect it. And it's possible to review the existing database, know that we could follow the same format, and get their opinion before we go too much further. And I would think that would be part of the beginning steps, which would be review existing database and survey form, have a dialogue with our committee about our key questions that we're hoping they're going to be able to, provide guidance on, and then revise the survey for this year.
Maybe like work with the hydrologist to refine and revise.
Yes, yes. But I think that part of that refining and revising should involve them actually looking at the previous database and making some suggestions based on the data, because I think some of it's going to depend on, how many people actually filled out that survey. So we could say, great, they did a survey, 2001, we're going to follow it. But if 10 people filled it out, and I'm sure it's more than 10, but imagine it was
1,000.
only, it was 1,000?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, that's really good then.
Yeah.
And that's what they have the record of.
Great.
And we didn't have the information until the end of last week. We have 4,400 households in town and businesses, so we're looking at approximately 4,400 wells.
Okay. And in 2001, how many wells were there? Do we know what percentage that was of the total? The 1,000?
We,
Probably not
This-
dramatically different.
It is.
it is.
It is. I have looked, although not for a couple of years, at the main Geological Surveys database on wells. And they might have, there were several hundred, 800, something like that, where they knew within a couple of meters where the wellhead was. Many of them they knew within 100 meters, which isn't very helpful if houses are packed close together, like, down on Bailey Island or Orr's Island. So if there were 1,000 responses in 2000, there was an earlier analysis in 1982, and here's the questions from that. So there were 1,081 wells they got information on in 1982. So we have 2 questionnaires to draw upon, and in both cases, we've gotten about 1,000 responses. So, and I believe now that because of the comp plan and because people have pretty heightened awareness of droughts and the effect on wells, that we'll get a pretty good response if we're careful about how we ask the questions.
And
I know
guess-
that the state doesn't have anything like 4,000 wells in Harpswell.
No, they have kind of this 1,000, round number, 970 something.
Right.
But we, in theory, could get 2 times as many.
Yeah.
So great, but I think to Margaret's point, review and,
Yeah, yeah.
review and revise, because I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of a lot of
I
things.
I wasn't able to give that to you also before the meeting.
Yeah.
But that's the earlier
But I
one.
mean, it's great that you've got 1980, 2000, and now 2020, right? It's a really good time series. So all the more reason to look at these things and try to see. We want to just make sure that whatever is gathered this year can go back and make best use of 80 and 2000. And there may be,
And the state system.
right, so it needs, that's what the hydrologist needs to look at.
Okay, so let's say again, because that's going to be another task for her.
Yes.
And would you help me word it?
Well, we could just say, review and revise, review databases and revise previous survey format for use this year.
We don't have to do anything with the format, it's in ArcGIS.
No, the survey
Oh, the survey.
format, because we have there are 2 different
She did
surveys.
suggest that she should do that.
Then good, yeah, well, she should. That would be the right thing for her to do, because we gather the data, but she's gonna have to do the analysis. So that means that she wants to make sure that the data is being collected in the right way to do the analysis. That's my point.
The other thing is that neither of these previous surveys includes anything about septic fields.
I'm sorry?
Neither of these previous surveys includes anything about septic fields. These are strictly wells.
Right. The
So-
surveys, well, they had questions about septic, but we do not have any, that was being handled through the state, right, Margaret?
We have all the septic designs in the codes office.
On pieces of paper?
Yeah,
Okay,
and they're supposed to have latitude and longitude on them. Although I have heard that site evaluators don't always
put them,
put it on there. I mean, there's a number, I don't think they always put the correct number, but, yeah.
all right, so you've got the designs, you know what they are supposed to be.
Yeah, anything that's been permitted in the last 50 years.
Okay,
It's pretty good.
But as you point out, they're paper.
They're paper.
So
Yeah,
that's-
which is the other
We're
thing.
never gonna, I don't think we're ever gonna be able to have the effort to go through and digitalize that information. I
Sure
think
we are.
go, really?
I don't know. That's number 2 on that list, on the comp plan list, right?
Yeah, yeah.
it could be a case of coming up with categories and saying this is in category A, that's in category B, category C,
Well,
and
you know,
so
and
on.
also Tim's working on his magic stick.
Yeah.
If he gets his magic stick, basically that's a magic stick that you go and stand on the septic system and it's, you know, it's like having your phone, it shoots up the coordinates.
Tim Cook,
Uh,
not Tim T.
Not this Tim.
Yeah.
Tim and codes.
Tim was looking like, do I have a?
Do you have a magic stick?
Is that a question to
It
ask?
might be, it
Yeah,
might
I don't
be
think that's
worldwide.
appropriate for this room.
Okay, so that's less of an issue.
Yeah,
Because we don't have the comparison? Is that what you mean?
Because Margaret knows.
We can make a database of it. It's just more having the time and manpower. But we have all the locations of the septic system.
yeah. And that would, it would be all hand input, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
Okay, so I will get back to her and ask her to quote that additional piece.
I think
Of
one thing,
this phase,
oh, go ahead.
that additional piece or in phase 1. Right, so you're thinking about doing this in different phases?
Right, but for her, I'm trying to get a quote out of her of what she can cover for
Right.
$50,000.
Right, but that would be in this phase, and then there would be the data collection, and then there
Yeah.
would be another phase with another input on her part.
Right, and then she would get involved at the end again.
I'm sorry.
And I'm saying, I think Mary Ann, we're talking earlier today, I think Tim's 100% agreed. I think we want to get input from hydrologists on what we want to collect, but I don't think there's anything wrong with collecting additional data. And even if we somehow didn't even get hydrologist input, I think there'd be value in actually having baseline information. And we could at least do analysis ourselves. Okay, 7% of wells in towns has seawater intrusion. Where are they? So this, even before a hydrologist does a deep dive, I think we could get a lot of some value with what we're collecting here,
Yeah.
and want to make sure the town has it on a go-forward basis.
That actually passed on.
And especially cool to compare it with the 2 historical ones.
Yeah. So I will get back to her on that piece, but we'll make sure that we put that in as kind of the first part of the project.
So I don't know if this
Well, it's-
matters in the big scheme of things, but I know wells have used to be shared. So, yeah.
There are a few of them. I know two. I know of Lumbo's Hole and Blueberry Lane on Orr's Island.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that
those
is-
are,
I'm
those are
thinking-
like public
I'm
wells.
thinking like Orr's Bailey, that would be just a shared well among a few houses, not like Lumbo's Hole, but
Where I think Lumbo's.
Really?
I'm not sure how many, but I know there are definitely some.
I think the whole
There
thing at Lumbo's is one.
is
well,
one.
that's-
Wow.
And they're metered,
Well, the,
I think.
you're right, the 2008 ransom study goes into community wells,
Okay, so
and
that
they're all marked,
would be interesting
yeah,
to me.
and they're
And
mapped,
how many there are.
yeah.
And how many households are on it?
And public wells are regulated by the state, and I want to say it's 5 or more houses. I don't know, I think that
Sounds
that's what
good.
it is. But and those are regulated by the state, they're tested, and there's a GIS layer that you can do of those.
Yeah. I feel like we're doing all this, we should have done this a month and a half ago, but that's just the way it goes.
Here we are.
Has any grant proposal ever been written in advance?
It would have been more helpful if we had had the hydrologist input previous. I
Yeah,
feel
but
like.
she was a little,
Yeah,
I was asking the questions, we were just on different
yeah.
wavelengths. And Sean, I think this can be helpful for the housing committee, I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean, there certainly is a lot of discussion about water in town as it relates to housing.
Yeah.
Whether or not the information that we find is helpful for continuing to do work on housing is a separate question, but
Yeah,
it certainly could be helpful.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's, because we're making this water-wise, we have the ability to keep doing education in various levels. And Howie couldn't be here today, but he said, oh, you should think about running hydrants down the main roads in town,
Running what?
Hydrants?
fire hydrants. Wonder what the cost would be.
I'd say he can do that grant application.
But, and
And
then
I thought you'd
think-
say, I'm right on that.
And then, Sean brought up earlier composting toilets. I mean, there's a lot of, I think, we can get a lot of mileage out of water-wise and cover a lot of areas, I think. So, our to-do now is I will get back to Carol and ask her to add that piece to her quote.
And we'll write one wonderful bullet to add to part two
Geologic unit code.
about her work.
Okay, we looked at the grant for Georgetown. They packaged everything in one lump sum.
All right, there's
And-
money and there's descriptive
Descriptive,
material.
right, you're right.
I'm
Descriptive
talking
more.
about the
Descriptive.
descriptive
Oh, okay, I thought you were
section
talking about
of
the
part two,
budget.
not the
Yeah,
budget.
exactly.
I need a
This one is
sentence,
not.
I put down a sentence, but we need a sentence to add to
Describe
part two's
behind it.
overall goals.
And then on the budget is where we'll
You
roll
don't
it up.
need to do it now, Mary Ann, we can do it after.
Okay, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just, is it something we should discuss here to get the sentence, or do we think?
What?
Do you want to, is it something we should discuss, or do you, no?
No.
Okay, great.
I think we can, we
We
pretty
can
much know
do
what
it,
it's
we
what.
can do it.
We can,
All right, so I think that's pretty much it. We did do a little shifting of the money since we voted. We had set up to $7,000 of Spira money, and we weren't using all of it, to tell you the truth. But comment came up, we're putting so much effort on volunteer labor on this. Should we use that in the budget? And basically, it would be covered by Spira, so it's like if we don't use it.
So that's what I thought it would work, is every bit of sort of offset would first come against our Spira outlay.
Yeah,
So soon we get the grant, at that point, the volunteer meter starts running, where we'd want to document so that we could offset.
and then what we did with the full budget is we increased it by $2,000 before it went to the select board. And they approved the higher amount.
and if we do that, do we need to keep track of volunteer hours?
Yes,
I know we've done that in the
Yes.
past, and it
and
can
we're
be
gonna have a
little
lot on
hard to do.
Well, but it can be done.
It can
and
be done,
We've
okay.
done it on other projects.
it's in-kind support.
Yeah, and there's an hourly rate that
Admit
volunteers,
what they're doing.
yeah. There's a set,
Tim,
hour-
you're used to doing that, right?
yeah, there's a set hourly rate by the,
Scott, follow up with everyone,
Yeah.
there's a set hourly rate by the state.
yeah.
There's a set hourly rate for employees by the state. So, Margaret's gonna be spending a fair amount of time. And we've done it in the past. You have one person, you have a program. You got 6 people here, and however long the program was, that's so many hours type of thing. So you can do it on a kind of a lump sum basis, but
Yeah.
yeah, we'll have to keep track of it.
I think most of us have worked on project in which we have had to keep track of time.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
No, for sure.
So can you just, Finance 101, how does it offset the SPIRA funds? So we're not actually expending them? or-
The expectation is that Harps will bring some matching to the table. We're saying, okay, we'll bring Spira funds. But if we, instead of using actual cash money, we'd say, okay, our contribution is 6,000, that actually came from volunteer hours, and then we'll use 1,000 from actual cash, so to speak, from the fund.
So
Give the
actually,
money
too,
back to ourselves.
we, but what we did is, we raised the total grant to 72,000 instead of 70. That's the right number.
I have it as 77,000 maybe? Is that right?
77, right, right,
77.
yeah.
The total.
You can't just
Yeah.
roll, just,
And then we were going to,
there has to be, if you want to do a.
they were going to be giving us $2,000 more than we originally asked for.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
I
So
can't
here's,
find my sheet.
here's a question.
This question
Okay.
was-
Could,
the data was this, so that-
thinking about the outcome of this project versus what the comp plan calls for, the comp plan calls for just a database, essentially. And the outcome of this will have the hydrologist doing some analysis, but we don't really know what the analysis is gonna be.
Yeah.
But maybe
Or vice versa.
the outcome could be she helps us design or helps us ask future questions for a phase two. You know, because we don't really know all the questions that we need to ask right now to understand Harpswell's groundwater.
Excuse me a minute. Nancy and Tim,
There's no,
please. I'd like your input actually now
sorry.
to what Margaret was saying.
Well, now I don't know how to start from the beginning again. I just, because we don't know what the outcome is, we don't know what questions necessarily we're gonna ask, and we don't know what she's necessarily gonna analyze. And what, you know, we're gonna collect data, but she's not really gonna find out where Harpswell's groundwater is based on this volunteer information. She might be able to infer some stuff, but maybe not. But maybe as part of the outcome, she could help us figure out what questions we need to ask for phase two. Because maybe that'll be her analysis, to figure out what questions we are still missing. I don't know.
Sorry, so what I was rudely kibitzing over here about was the fact that it's the difference in questions between 1980 and 2001, and there's, some of the questions in one are better than the other. But if we want it to be a time series, so we can say, oh, look, in 1980, X number of people, X percentage of people said this, and that's changed over time, we have to make sure the questions are gathering information the same, and they're not. So you either have to modify one in some way to match the other, and then you make sure that the survey that goes out now will produce information that
It's
best
congruent to what?
That
best
you can compare.
matches whatever you did, but there's work to make these two things match, because they don't. And some of the questions in my take in 82 were better questions than were asked in 2001, and some in 2001 are better than 82. So this is where the hydrologist has to say, okay, let's look at them, we'll make a decision. This is how we would modify this information, because presumably the hydrologist will have experience with this kind of thing. And they'll say, oh, yes, I've seen this before. This is how we hydrologists solve this problem.
But is what you're suggesting, Margaret, not that initial, but once stuff comes in, once
No.
data comes in?
Well, I feel like she'll be helpful. She has to design what questions we're asking to get the maximum benefit.
Yeah.
But like, what analysis is she really gonna do at the end?
Right.
And maybe she can help us design phase two, or help, whatever answers we get now can help us inform whatever phase two would be. Because this seems like more of a data gathering stage, and the next stage maybe would be more about learning about our water, I don't know, whatever that number 3 is on your list there.
It might be more surgical. It might be that we realize that the information that we get now about seawater intrusion is profoundly different from the way people responded in 82 and 2001, and therefore we need to hone in on that.
And to your point, Tim, about making the two surveys.
Consent, yeah.
Congruent, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good, and I think I would put that in what I'm asking her to do.
And I think going forward, we're also sort of committing for future, 20 years from now, we go through this again.
Yes.
We'll want to make sure the questions are, think about, try to future-proof it as much as we can.
I think what Tim, I'm sorry, Judy.
No, that's another subject. Go ahead.
Okay, I think what Tim brought up is the time series. So far, we have the opportunity of doing this about every 20 years. And that is something that I hadn't thought about.
What are those two dates? 1980,
1982 was Gerber and Rand.
right?
And
2001.
2001 was Wright Pierce, and then that was modified by Ransom in 2008, but I think it was mostly just put into GIS in 2008.
They did private wells. It was a well and septic study, I think.
It was, it included septic, but also all the maps are GIS maps, so
Yeah.
you can zoom in on them, and
Right.
you can't do that with the earlier ones.
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
so that we can zoom in.
gotcha.
I have one question. It's part of this whole process. We're saying we're going to get basic information about septic systems. Are we clear about what we're looking for there?
I don't know that we want to put that in there, do we?
I'm beginning to think maybe we should take that
Too much
out.
Oh,
muddy the
definitely
water.
take it out.
I think
Yeah,
it's
let's-
going to
Oh, yeah, no.
complicate our
It's-
life hugely if
No,
we
I think it
commit
should be
to
out.
that.
We
We already
can,
know the
Yay.
whole set of it, basically.
We have the data, it just needs to be inputted.
Yeah,
And maybe there's an easy way to do that, maybe not.
but then we
there
have to
could be.
analyze
Yeah.
it and,
There could be, because a lot of, well, I was gonna say, a lot of the information that you have, are, drawings of the septic schematic, whatever. We don't need to, those things don't need to be digitized. I think the most important for analysis in the immediate future, some of the basic trends are what's important. 1980, how many wells, how many septics? 2001, how many wells, how many septics? 2020, how many wells, how many septics? What do we see? And I think what we're gonna see is that 1,000 to 4,000 jump.
yeah,
And if we see that, then that, by and of itself, even if we gather nothing about quality, we know a lot about quantity, is that 4 times as much water is getting sucked out of the ground than there was 20 years ago.
The other thing about septics would be the flow, because the flow could influence how much water each house is using.
That's right.
Not necessarily, but it could give us a maximum.
yeah, yeah.
It
Like if
tells
they
us-
have,
Like if they're designed for 360 gallons per day.
or if.
And
they-
if everybody in the neighborhood is, then you know how much water at a
so
maximum.
it's water, we want basic information about water used in septic systems?
Well, I think the good
Because
thing.
right now we're committing to basic information about septic
Well,
We
systems.
don't
I
have
think
to-
we
I think-
decided not to commit to that.
Let's
didn't we?
let's take it out of the grant,
Yeah.
saying septic, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't have a few questions when we do our questionnaire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That doesn't,
Exactly.
but
Yeah,
at least we
okay.
aren't
All
right.
committed to doing
Right.
something we can't do.
And-
Woohoo!
All right, good.
and
We
then
can add in questions in the questionnaire at no cost.
That's right, yeah. And depending on the amount of answers you get, that might challenge you to go for another phase to do some
Yes.
kind of testing
Right.
of that
Yeah, if we
particular.
get into septic, that's a separate
But
grant.
let's not commit it in the language here.
I think
Yes.
Margaret made a really important point about the design of them. My husband and I were talking about this today, that you can have big houses with many, 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 many bathrooms. And if a house was built 40 years ago, it probably had 2 bathrooms. So there is the well data, which is where is your well and how much does it yield? But the septic data tells you how much water could be used, which is different from how much water is in your well. So I think people use more water now. A household probably uses more water now than it did 40 years ago. And the septic data gets us at that.
It gets us like a maximum.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Although I could see it going, you could
Kind of,
possibly
yeah.
argue the other way, it's just in last.
With toilets,
Toilets have low
Toilets,
flush,
yeah.
and also there's
Or
people.
landscape irrigation systems,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
can be used as much as a full septic design
yeah.
in a day.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah, It gives us some ballpark stuff,
Yeah.
but
But just in general,
Yeah.
how family size has
You think
decreased,
so
but the
outside?
average number of bathrooms per house has increased.
Exactly.
I just
An
think
outside
it
kid
is.
But if
for
you're
sure.
two people with
Anyway,
six
the bottom
bathrooms, or
line
two
is we
people with
take
two
it out of
bathrooms,
here.
Same
it's
water.
the same number of flushes
Yeah,
in general.
Just more.
Okay.
okay.
You could get into ages, older population, how many.
Use more flushes, yeah.
I don't
Or
want to
me.
go there.
Yes, let's not do that. Correlation between flushes and age.
Okay.
I have a
Yeah.
sort of like data question or curiosity. These are self-reported requests for information from the public. Do we know if those are the same 1,000 wells in both of those? Or do we know if they're the same 1,000 wells in 1980 and
Or how much
2000?
overlap, really.
Or how much
I-
overlap there
I
is?
think we will know that.
If we're trying to like gain consistency by our question design, but it's a total, mix of wells, we aren't actually gaining consistency of data.
So this is a great database question, which is what you want the hydrologist to look at, because what you would get is, in general, you get averages or midpoint or whatever. But then there will be a subset of that data where you can say, we know that a third of these wells, we know that they're all the same. So out of that third, we've done this analysis because we know for sure that they're the same ones. And the 2/3, we just can't tell. But that's exactly the kind of question that the hydrologist needs to say, I've looked at the database. If you want that kind of an answer, we can't do it or we can do it based on what I've seen. But that is a perfect database question.
And strictly
Yeah.
speaking, when you think about it, if that's digitized and it's by coordinates, as soon as you do this test, you can match the two and know they're the same well.
Yeah, I think the reality is
I
that
think
the
survey.
technology to know exactly where it is. Certainly when they're in the 80s, and I'm not sure it was in active use even in 2000.
No.
I think that's sort of a reality we may have to
Well,
accept.
they were, when they put my well in, it's got the coordinates on it.
To 10,000ths of a degree.
Well, I don't know.
When you say, so, in a tight neighborhood, you're gonna have pretty good accuracy if you can say this is the same well in all three.
I
I
mean,
think that's gonna be the challenge.
The point being was, when you go out and stand on your wellhead, if you're within 2 or 3 feet, it doesn't make that much difference.
No, but in 20 years ago, I'm not sure you could get within 100 yards. Now, in a tight neighborhood, you aren't sure which, is it you or is it your neighbor? But it'd be interesting to see what we have
Yeah.
from the.
It was by map and lot before.
Yeah,
So you
Oh.
could, if you could identify the map and lot, and
Oh,
if you
oh.
know there hasn't been a new well drilled, then you should be, is that what you're gonna say?
That's gonna be a
Yes.
cleaner way to
Sorry.
map than launching ladder anyway.
and we know that, and that was one of the questions Carol asked. Margaret was able to furnish her that information, so she would be working with map and lot.
Oh, okay, great.
And we can also ask, is this well the original well? To the best of your knowledge, and original being since 1982.
Or
Whatever,
even
first-
date of well might be a better metric.
But some people have had to drill second wells or third wells.
Yeah.
They might have been using one for 20 years and then they have to put in
Eh,
another one.
And there's also the other issue of the well pump. Right? Because the pumps have changed a lot. So the older well pumps did not suck as much water as the new well pumps did. And it can be as much as 2 times. So all these things have details that matter, and then that comes down to, back to your question, how much do we know for each specific well information that we can track whether these wells have changed over time? Are these specific wells taking more water, whatever?
And also, the big question that comes into this, that everybody wants to know, do we have enough water to have any more development?
Yeah, that's the
Right.
bottom line.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And
And where might that be?
Which is why the questions that get at, is there a way to detect whether there is a problem happening or not in any particular well, how we gather that information, because then you could say in 1980, no one reported, or
Right.
5% of the people reported anything about seawater. In 2001, it was 15%, and in 2020, it was 30.
In which case, where are those problems?
Right, and but then that kicks you into the second set of questions, where
Exactly.
now that we've
Right.
seen that. But we know that we're concerned about saltwater intrusion, so we would want to make sure that we're as consistent as we can be in gathering that information. We know that we're going to want to know, can we gather information about whether you've had a problem or not? And if so, tell us a bit more about that problem. Because we're trying to understand where are problems flaring up, not just, and for how many, but also specific locations.
And that's what I don't think people are gonna wanna share. Because they wanna be able to sell their house.
You know what? That's a good point.
Yeah, one question the selectmen asked us was, how could we get participation? Because they were dubious that we would, that people would actually participate.
Well, that
And
was
this
my
time, we're not
frustration.
offering, well testing, so we don't have that as an incentive. So that is a big issue and concern, at least.
It's the
It was
education.
interesting, I was reading the bulletin that went out in 2000. I think I copied it and sent it to somebody. They stated it really well, as, some of the issues and how we needed their input. When they got to the questionnaire, they left it open as to whether they put their name on it or not. But they had a certain amount of people who responded and said they had salt in their wells, either from the road or saltwater intrusion was two directional. And the question was, would you like to have your well tested? So there you get into, they have to make a commitment to identify the well, and then someone from the conservation came out and took the well sample and had it tested. So that's where you get into the phases, I think.
Right, right.
I thought the way they worded it was really good,
You want me to read it?
Yeah,
Okay, so the bulletin is one page, or at least what I have is one page. And at the bottom, it says, Water Quality Survey. Harpswell's Conservation Commission has developed a water quality survey, again, it's quality, not quantity, which is provided as an insert to this issue of the bulletin. Interesting, because that goes to all households. The survey seeks to enhance existing information concerning characteristics of the town's water supply. The commission encourages voluntary participation. Please return your survey to the town office via mail or in person. So it doesn't say a whole lot, but it's about concerning characteristics of the town's water supply.
I think, although I think it would be out of the scope of putting into the grant, but when we start forming it, I think what in today's world you'd call a privacy policy. I think we need to be very clear, we'll outline on what will be available to the public, will only be in
I
aggregates.
think that would make a huge
it's
difference.
in one of those letters, one of those,
I think-
there were two bulletins. There was
Right.
also one that went out on another issue, included this on it.
So-
And it had a really good paragraph or statement about the
Right, so
enhancement.
basically- so people won't be
Only
afraid to be
summary
honest.
information, no information about any specific well locations will be
Right,
Yeah.
provided.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. I think that'll make a huge difference.
And
But I also think it's really important we put what the key issues are we're trying to gather information about,
yes,
right? So it's back to what Ken's, whatever the top three things were. But say, we want to know information about the following things. That's what this survey is focused on. And, I mean, obviously, we're trying to gather, quote, baseline information, and we want them to know that this will be the third survey that'll come 20 years apart, so that's also an important thing. This is a good thing. It's happened before. We're not just radically trying to steal their information. And
And we had good participation in the
we had
previous
good
two.
participation in the previous stuff, and that gives us confidence that this will help us answering, getting better understanding of these key questions that the town has raised. Everyone in the town has raised these key questions. This is what we think they are. Townspeople, town folk. The folk have
I
spoken.
like the town folk.
Town folk.
I just am really struggling with the difference between what's GIS work and what is hydrologist work. Because I feel like a lot of this is data gathering and more GIS based.
But what are the questions? I think that's.
Yeah, I mean, she can help us design the questions, but like, what is she gonna give us at the end?
And that's the
That's
three
what I'm
things.
wondering.
That's what we keep circling around.
That's
to
what we
some
keep
degree.
circling around. What she said she would give us was,
Yeah, tell me.
she would, let's see if I got this. Update of well data and create a new, see, that's not what what was the one that had the three, what I asked her for? Basically, she's going to combine the information from the old database with the new. And she does not use the word analyze at all.
That just seems more like GIS work.
It does.
Than
it
hydrologist
does.
work,
I
like-
know, it does.
Okay. Alright.
I don't know what a hydrologist does exactly.
Well, as a hydrologist, they should be providing an interpretation. And the question is, what is the interpretation of the data? So you're right, there's a lot of GIS work, but the hydrologist is supposed to interpret it. For example, if there's a doubling or tripling of the number of wells, is that a concern? Well, how does a hydrologist answer that question? I don't know the answer, but they do.
Or you hope they do. I mean, that's been our
Yeah.
assumption.
Well, and that's why my concern is if we say, can you tell us where water should be restricted? They might say, well, I could, but this information isn't gonna give me that. I'm going to need to know this information. For example, I need to know exactly how much water use occurs. So we're gathering well depth, we're gathering, estimates of whatever, but we don't have anything on water use. And she might say, in the absence of water use data, I can't tell you much.
But the majority of the project is gonna be database-based, don't you think?
Seems that way.
Seems,
Certainly early on.
So, to me, and this is through my limited experience with the town, it seems like a lot of this stuff would be better equipped for somebody like Judy Colby George. And I'm not saying that's just how my brain's thinking.
No, I agree. I think that's
That,
why.
cause she is more database and GIS-based information.
And then but the hydrologist should work with her to say, I need the information presented in this way.
Right, but.
And then the database person can help do that.
But we are kind of skipping over the database portion of the project. Like, we're gonna do the survey and we need her input, and we need her input on analyzing the outcome, but the middle, somebody's gonna have to do it.
Well, you're right.
I have a question. Is it all feasible that the Bowdoin student could work on the GIS side of
Oh,
things?
sure.
Depending on
it
how much
seems to
field
be-
work they have to do, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other words, I think we could use their
I think we
Still.
can, and I think that the problem we're grappling right now is what the geologist, what the hydrologist is going to give us, and we want to make sure we're going to get more than just data gathering and data input into a database.
And I think when we were talking earlier, when we mentioned about for the whole water-wise piece of the budget item would be something simply water-wise data gathering, storage, and analysis. And it leaves it open who does which piece. It would be open to whoever fits the best
Who fits
skill
it.
set we had or could come up with without a commitment that, the hydrologist doesn't have to do the GIS information.
Yeah, so we could put the Bowdoin part into
And
task
it-
one.
And Bowdoin, if depending on that, that could be
Yeah,
overlap or.
Okay, all right,
That's helpful, thanks.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Ideally, you get the intern to do the majority of the data input, and if, depending on which intern you get, many interns, particularly if they're interested in natural resources at all, will have GIS already.
well, yeah, I mean, that's
So-
become everybody, I
I
think,
mean, we can ask for that as,
Bowdoin offers a GIS class as in the first week of their McKean Fellowship. So the last 2 years, the town of Harpswell intern or fellow has done this class.
Okay, great.
I can't imagine someone in environmental sciences, environmental studies
Who
without
doesn't
knowing.
yeah,
how to use that.
I mean, it's,
That would be
that
like
bad.
not knowing how to use a calculator all day, right?
exactly, or not knowing how to use a spreadsheet, yeah, yeah.
I thought it was not knowing how to use a slide rule.
I was going to say.
You're really dating yourself. Darn, there's a lot of stuff in here that's just boilerplate.
Are those the town records?
I want to know,
Was that the right Pierce?
yeah.
What part are you looking for, Mary Ann?
I'm looking for their proposal, what they were going to do, what their scope of work was.
There's an executive summary at the beginning. Skim this a whole-
Phase one?
Yeah, I think it's right here.
Yada, 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 yada. Okay. It tells us all the things that, it sounds like what I put together for the introduction to our grant, just
Yeah.
stuff. I'm looking, I want to
Use
know
the
what they're,
clean bullet points of deliverables.
I just want to know what they're going to give us. And I have to assume when we, let's see here.
But that's
Is
the
that the
report,
2000
not
one?
their proposal to us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, this is their
You're looking for
report.
their proposal.
Oh, I
Yeah.
might have that. I brought so much.
I mean, Mary
They
Ann,
were-
you're not satisfied with the proposal we have from her today, right? Is that the issue that we have to solve now?
Yeah, seems like it.
Or is it not yet?
We want to be sure that we put the right wording in, I think,
Okay.
so that we,
The right wording in the proposal, in the letter that she sends us. In other words, what's in the grant is very generic. What may be in her proposal to us, I think, is
she's going to give
different.
us a very generic proposal. She's going to give us a proposal that gives us the three things I asked her to do,
Okay,
which I read.
yeah.
My concern now is I'm going to contact her to add this
Add
first phase that we're talking about.
Okay,
But that, it sounds to me like she will be happy to do the first phase because it will clarify what her, knowing what the questions will be, being involved in
It should be,
determining the
but-
questions should clarify the outcome.
I just haven't had a really good experience of working through that with her when I talked to her. And it's probably due to my lack of scientific knowledge presented properly.
Well, I mean, I guess, I know we talked, and I looked through her comments, she did a markup. I'm not 100%, I was disappointed in some of her comments on what we had drafted out, and that it seemed like she didn't fully read it or gave general comments. So I think maybe we're thinking that it's not necessarily we're 100% committed to having her be the one doing the work or certain pieces of it.
We say that we're going to let an RFP, that we're gonna write an RFP and let an RFP, and whoever fits the bill best.
Right,
will
right.
be the person who gets the work. And it sounds as if Judy Colby George
Well,
might be, it could
Better
be that the
option.
work is done in chunks, and that different people do different parts of the work in chunks. So Judy Colby George, for instance, might be the nuts and bolts person who works with the Bowdoin intern about the data, about compiling the data and entering and creating the database. So, if,
it's just, I feel that we need, we're gonna lump this, like Ken said.
I
But I
mean, we need to
feel-
present this by the end of this week, so,
But I
there's some
feel like
urgency to.
We have to give the state some background of how we're coming up with $50,000. And one piece would be at least to have a proposal from the hydrology side of what she's gonna cover for this amount of money. I don't know that we need that, but it would seem to me they would want a little more than us talking very frivolously about, not frivolously, but how much outreach we're gonna do.
so this is essentially you're seeking budget justification.
Yeah,
And so, are you in a position now to talk with her, or do you want someone else to talk?
no, I'm
with
gonna send her a message back tonight
you? Yeah,
and ask her to add that piece.
okay.
Add what?
The piece which I'm trying to get the right wording for.
Which which is to review and revise the
Questionnaire.
The questionnaire.
with respect to the relevance to our interests.
Write that up and send it to me, okay?
Yeah, and you can
Really,
send her
seriously.
a job description for her that we can, because we really need to get this resolved to get this finished.
It could be something about like maximizing historical data or something,
Maximize historic data and
or building.
maximizing
yeah.
for the future
Right,
analysis,
And-
really.
right, and setting a foundation for future surveys or
That's
studies or
good.
something.
I
Got an
don't
answer.
think the text needs to be changed. I think we pretty much have,
That was good, Margaret.
it's generic
I love
enough.
the idea of the every 20 years.
Yeah,
Kind of gives a justification for it.
yeah. It really fits in with climate change and stuff.
All right.
Margaret, could you possibly repeat generally what you said? Maximize the utility of the historical surveys?
Yes, and set a foundation or a framework for future studies. Because I hadn't thought of that, but that makes a lot of sense.
Does. Okay, so review and revise the surveys in collaboration with the committee and maximize, in order to maximize the utility of historical surveys and set a framework for future studies.
Yeah, okay.
And what?
I would
what-
maybe say data collection instead of studies, but,
That's fine.
What we ended up saying is our deliverable in this area is update Harp's wells, well geodatabase with information from a survey of town wells and combine with existing well data to develop a comprehensive well data set for the town.
And that was for the hydrologist,
Yes,
which she was pushing back on.
yeah, that's.
What,
we said
I think we want to do that, but doesn't necessarily be the hydrologist. And-
Well, here it's deliverables, not who's
Right, it's
doing it.
okay, yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But a lot of those will hopefully fall under the Bowdoin intern
Yeah, yeah.
with the GIS work.
Okay.
Mary Ann, are you? Does that make sense, or are you something?
I mean,
I think it's
Yes.
good for
Good.
what we need now,
Yeah, that's what
because it doesn't specify who's going to do it,
Yes,
and
exactly.
it,
well, yeah,
so it'll be a
that's what I'm saying, we don't
combo
want to
of
be
a
too
lot of
specific here.
different
And so if we're
moving
we're gonna
pieces.
lump this whole water-wise project basically into one
budget line
deliverable,
item.
one budget line item.
It will have a few deliverables
Yeah,
that
Yes.
will, but who's deliver them is,
we're not going to be spared, that's
we're
Not
not going
specific.
to
commit
specify.
Yeah, which is a little different, because we had it broken out by people the last time.
Yeah,
Okay,
well, it's coming together.
yeah,
so maybe it's not going to be broken out, 50,000 hydrologists, 10,000 this, 10,000 that. It's
Exactly.
gonna just be,
it's going to be 50,000, and it's going to be this, and
great,
this.
that
use the best resources that's
Yeah.
appropriate.
Sound
makes
good?
a lot more sense,
Sense.
yeah. I was a little bit worried that we were going to have to find a way to give the hydrologist enough stuff to do, but,
Yeah,
yeah.
And we
It makes a
have
lot more
the,
sense, because there's so many people who
student
are
in
gonna
there
be
then.
working on this.
Is it-
there is,
I
and
think
we're going to be doing a lot
student
of it ourselves.
Will
Oh,
still be
the
a separate,
intern.
will be a
Oh, you
separate
want to keep
item,
it separate?
but
Okay.
we
I-
don't prevent the student
You
working on
have
that.
an
They're
in with
two
Jody
different
Jones, don't you?
organizations.
Have an in with Jody Jones?
And it's not even our budget.
Oh, well,
I think she likes me.
Well, good. Can you find out why they don't have enough money to finish their survey? It's on hold?
Okay. But she didn't answer me when I wrote to her before, so maybe she doesn't like me.
Oh, she,
Everybody likes
everybody likes you, and she answered you and me, and she copied you when she answered me.
All right.
How could
But-
we not like you?
I know.
I don't like Jay.
Well, she doesn't like you either.
So there has to be an exception to the rule.
Oh, I love it.
I saw that. I just don't.
So-
I was
It's all
listening.
good.
All right, so
I
what
was
are
gonna
our
say.
next steps to
Our
get
next
this
step is-
done?
I will contact her tomorrow.
Okay,
We're going to rewrite, we know what we want to say.
yeah,
think,
no,
yeah.
we're pretty far along in that.
Yeah.
I sent out another
And it's,
version.
Good.
and it's not massive.
No,
change.
and I started to go through what her suggestions were, to take them out of, and remove them from what we had written.
Yeah, no, everything that you sent me is already in here.
So you took what she said and took care of it? Perfect.
Well, what
What
you
you
gave me.
gave, got it.
What I gave you.
But you didn't do all the things she commented, with some of the things nothing
This is-
for. Go ahead.
As of 3 o'clock this afternoon or whenever, I did the latest version.
But I sent you her comments afterwards. You didn't do those, did you?
I didn't put.
No, that's what I
that
didn't
in.
think so.
Yeah.
I want to go through those. She had some good comments to omit.
Yeah. Okay, so if you have any of those to insert in the
I'll
document.
try to do
that's
that when I
great.
get home tonight.
Okay, all right. It would be really nice to start putting it into the. Into the form. In the form.
I'm not that concerned about the form if we get it
You are?
right.
Yeah.
It goes in, I've done it, we
That's
just,
a copy paste at the point you're saying.
yeah,
You think it's just copy and paste?
it
We'll
is.
see
No,
if
I've
it-
used this form,
We'll see if it really is.
I've used this form 5 times. It's the
Okay.
same form. In fact, I would suggest just
Okay.
updating the
I believe you.
the CAG number and use last time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Ken's finishing up the budget, right? I mean, we pretty much,
I think we pretty much,
yeah, we
just, it's
just
more
need to add
labeling
this.
than anything.
Yes, label.
We don't need to do it.
And this should say
these little zeros we would
hydrologist
want to
and,
Pass one,
We're
I'll
having
let
fun.
Number
Oh,
on
it's
the.
I'll send you a
send it.
draft of that.
Okay,
Here,
all
it
right.
means if there's none, it means
I think
there's
this
no correlation.
conversation is so
No
important.
number means-
Oh, it is,
And
we
then
should have had this
narrow
conversation a month
Ts.
ago.
Well, it
But,
just
you
doesn't
know,
happen
sure
like that.
Things don't happen that
You have
way.
to-
this.
Same
page
thing's
4.
happening at the housing committee.
Yeah.
Really?
Which is you
Yes.
don't know
Yeah.
what the outcome of the
That's-
that needs to be
conversation needed to be.
updated.
It'll be
until you
very
get
much
there.
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things that we
Yeah,
want
as
to
long
add.
as this
Yeah.
is-
Trust the process.
So anyway,
Yeah.
just
It's a
so
process.
you know what,
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll get.
Okay, all right, so,
you hang on, because you know what? You can read that.
So as of tomorrow morning, I will send you, Ken's sending me budget stuff.
okay, well, you get up
Put
really,
it in
but you get
here.
up really early, Deirdre.
What?
But you get up really early.
So tomorrow morning early, I will send you the
Just a
latest
minute to
version.
look
Oh,
at it,
okay.
whether-
And then I
okay?
can make my
Is that there?
corrections on
And
that.
I'll get them to you
On that one,
for
they
tomorrow
should
morning.
be
Yeah.
add.
I just said I got another meeting at
Late
6
night.
o'clock. That's a
Uh-oh.
rather stressful meeting, so, complain.
So, yeah.
If
We
we're-
do,
If we're all done, are we all done with this topic?
yeah, I think
I
so.
have one more question.
Okay.
So are
Okay,
Point I want you-
please, please.
Are we done with my style things, like we're not calling it a sustainability guide or booklet, we're not naming it because we haven't named it yet? Is that all fixed?
Yes,
Okay.
but we've come to the I mean, it's been named a lot of different things. I've changed it at least 5
Yeah,
times.
so it doesn't have a name yet.
It doesn't have a
Yes,
name, that's the problem.
It's called a booklet at this point.
Yes, but the subcommittee that's working on the booklet has not named it, so I don't want it to be capitalized. as
It's
book-
not,
Gotcha,
it's
I'll keep that in mind.
booklet with a small b.
Okay, so it leaves you, doesn't commit you to any name. no.
Well, exactly, and, there's also, editing, there's inconsistency, and I think that's been fixed, capitalized, not capitalized, town needs to be capitalized if it's specific to Harpswell.
Yes.
That sort of stuff. And
I've capitalized town.
I keep finding it, but I.
No,
really-
no, no, give me one more chance,
Okay.
okay?
So,
People keep
also-
changing it on me.
Also, I don't know how it goes on the form, but the bullets are so inconsistent.
We're gonna do at the end, we're gonna do a universal formatting,
Good.
change the fonts size, because
Yeah,
it's in
it's going to get
14 right
smaller
now.
and-
Well, there was a lot of input, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Just saying final product.
Yeah, we'll do it at the
Yeah,
end.
okay, I got you.
Are you
It's
happy,
changing.
are you happy with the way HA is?
Yeah, I think we took out
We've
partner
rewritten it,
and
yeah.
put support.
Yeah.
The only question I have was committing,
I know what your question was, I thought about it.
the volunteers will, and I think there will be, I just don't know if we
So
want to say
this
it
is,
so firmly.
this is what I wanted to ask you. Right now, the letter that you gave me doesn't really say a whole lot, other than hoo-ha is,
Yeah,
hoo-ha. Would you be comfortable with putting in something like, what I'm looking for is something to say, like, allowing us to have space at your, something, I envision us like having a table and talking about this.
Well, it does say
Or the sustain-
participate in workshops, which, like the Repair Cafe or whatever.
Does it say that? I thought we took it all out.
It doesn't say Repair Cafe, but it says help with workshops, at least the one I just saw.
Okay.
It's changed again. I mean, the latest is contribute volunteers to help with the initiative. That's all that says.
That's the one I'm concerned about. You
Okay.
can't promise contributing volunteers. I think it will happen.
So
Okay.
will you send me the definitive, one sentence or two sentences on huh?
Well, I keep doing that.
No, just send it to me in an
Jay,
email.
Yes.
Part
Please,
of it gets lost in the 15 versions.
right now, I'm reading a letter of support
Yeah.
that says hoo-ha is, period.
It says it likes the plan will address short and long-term climate challenges by expanding the Waterways program. So it likes the grant.
It likes what we're doing, which is really nice. Do you think we could get a sentence that says,
Who likes it, hoo-ha? Been waiting to say that.
Yeah.
could we get a sentence that says something of what, how you can support us?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for, not in the grant, in the letter
Yeah.
of support.
And Jay, it's on page 11. It's the very last sentence in the
Okay.
descriptive part.
And what I'm saying is, it's gonna be in their letter of support. We don't
No,
necessarily.
well, we already have the letter will be part of the whole grant, but we need Jay to be comfortable with what we say in the document.
So
So
there's
if you could,
two
the
edits
only
being
place how is mentioned at this point is on page 11, last sentence.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is, if we're including of a letter of support from HA, it should say something that they're going to do, and it does not.
Well,
Because
but
you want
Jay
the
has
letters to
said
be
they
from
don't want to.
contributors or not
Uh,
partners, but,
Just,
right?
Associate.
What does it
Yeah.
matter if they support us if they're not doing anything about it, I guess, right? Is it?
Well, things like, I mean, what realistically, HA is over 400 volunteers. It's not an entity that you can go to and say, we're gonna come and present to you.
no.
But what we can do is advertise, encourage.
Advertise,
Encourage.
allow space. That's what Bowden is showing, that they're going to give us a space. So that's something soft like that.
Okay.
One of the things I had wondered if we could do would be to have a special session about, a training session to which home repair people, I don't know.
We
what that
can,
group's
but,
called. Offer a special training session for them so that they can be attuned to the climate
Well-
change things that we talk about in the booklet.
And that's, I'll think about
But that's something
wording.
we would offer to HA, and I don't know
Yeah.
how to word it in the
Well,
other
and that-
direction.
Maybe we shouldn't put it in here.
Offering
wanna put it in here.
support is the kind of, the resource team
Right,
goes out and
Right.
helps people decide what they need.
Mhm.
They also help people when they call and say, I don't know where to get this resource. So I think that's the group you could present to
Mhm.
at a meeting,
Mhm.
right.
but not like 400 people.
Right.
But let's not put that in the document. That's
No.
making a commitment we don't necessarily
But-
want.
But offer support is, that's how I would picture
Yeah.
it, what you just described.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
and offer support.
So
is
just a
fine.
couple of
And
sentences.
I have to make a pitch to the chairs to
I know you
say,
do.
would you change this a little bit? So, and then they have to do their,
Do their thing, and we only
and
have a few days.
right away.
And we need it, we
I
really
think-
need it ideally by Wednesday at
Yeah.
the very, very latest.
That's
Okay.
tomorrow.
And I need your sentence before that, or your
Okay.
couple of
The
sentences.
easiest actionable kind of like ask for HA is that you all would be helping us publicize this
Yeah.
or
That's
communicate.
a really
And I
simple
think that
thing,
that's,
yeah.
that's
That-
all we need to ask.
That's all we
yeah.
need, yeah.
And it's not a big ask in particular. You
No,
guys
and
have a
they'll
great
do it.
email list.
Yeah.
There's already a system
Mhm.
that isn't easy.
Thank you, Sean, that's a really simple way to say it. It's just that if they're supporting us, they kind of nice to say, they just
Yeah,
don't
it
think we're
needs
great.
a little
you know.
more.
Well, and I'm thinking, maybe we don't want to commit to this, but that resource team.
Yeah, we don't wanna
be
commit to that, right.
Educating,
Yeah,
advertising,
Yeah.
yeah.
But for now, with the time limits that we have, I think,
Yeah.
I think-
yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
I do think it's important, while I'm being annoying, and Tim doesn't like me anyway, is,
You know what, we gotta get a few things straight.
is I think the letter is really good, mostly because I wrote most of it. But I think describing what HA is really important.
Yeah, no,
So
you're
you
right.
don't want that not in, okay.
yeah,
Just
no,
checking.
that's fine. I just
And how
wanted
important HA
a
is
little bit
to the
more.
community.
What? A
I
little
just
bit
wanted a
more?
little
Okay.
bit more.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. Can we put this
Just put a
first
silence there.
agenda?
Who's ha?
Hoo-ha. I like that.
My favorite is there a ha moment in your life? Like,
Aha
sign up,
moment?
get-
Aha moment.
yeah, get help from ha.
Okay.
Ha ha.
All right. Sustainability guide. Do we want to do an update right now on that?
I wasn't at the last meeting, so you have to ask Nancy.
We're continuing to work on the sustainability guide, and we're meeting on Friday to collectively review text modifications to the text that was done in the Aroustic version. And most people have contributed their text to Mary Ann Naif already, because we're gonna be in here working on the big screen. Some of us have not yet done that, even though we promised that we would do it.
That's
But
right.
some of us have been distracted by other things.
That's true. Okay, okay.
Multitask.
And that's this Friday, right?
This is Friday morning at 9 o'clock, and if we come up with a title, we could even get it into the grant. How about
But
that?
the other thing is that this grant commits that booklet to include ways to conserve water, and
Yeah.
that will be new content.
Mm.
And so I think we should discuss on Friday that we put that off until after we know whether or not we get the grant, because if we do get the grant, then that creation of content will count as volunteer hours.
Oh, you want to talk about it just because of the volunteer hour things. Gotcha,
I want to defer it until.
gotcha. Now I know what you're saying.
Good strategy.
I know how to milk these things. I know the system.
All right. I think we'll move on then to the next item, and Howie's not here. And his one comment was about fire hydrants down, running water down Hartsville Neck.
No, we already made snide comments on that one.
All I know is was it Wiscasset or somewhere up there, they run a hose down for the summer and they drain it for the winter.
Really?
Yeah. I forget, Five Islands maybe? I forget exactly. There's a-
They have municipal, Wisconsin has municipal water though.
Well, it's not Wiscasset. It's like one of the islands, Five Islands.
Uh-oh.
It's been for years. I can't remember where it was. Booth Bay. Booth Bay.
Booth's there.
Yeah, somewhere in Booth Bay.
Could we get, run a line from Brunswick and get town water?
Well, we could, but you see, I don't know what you do in the winter when it freezes.
We'll
That's-
put it underground.
That's part of the issue, you see.
I'll take it just in the summer. That'd be okay.
Bob Waddle told us we'd have to do it by water. You'd have to dig a trench,
Okay.
In the
You'd be
sound.
jackhammering for the next century.
yeah.
That seems to me to be out of our purview.
I think so. Okay, so I'm gonna move on
New
to
business,
new business?
let's not have any for now.
I have one. Do you want to mention the kickoff meeting? I don't see it.
Yes, and I
don't see
wanted,
it on the
thank you, thank you.
agenda.
You call, we got a grant, the last grant, which was with Stantec to do the modeling for sea level rise on the roads. We're having a kickoff meeting on
10 at 10, I think.
Yeah, 9:10, which is a Thursday, I believe, or a Wednesday, at 10 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, Ken. If you'd like to join it,
September 10th.
Yeah, I think it's 10
and
at
he's
10.
going to outline the project.
Okay, I'll see if I,
Yeah.
What-
And what we will do is we can probably Zoom it.
Zoom it.
We can make
Okay.
it hybrid if
Yeah,
you'd
let's
like.
make it a hybrid, yeah, because,
Oh, good, that would be
Every
helpful.
other week I have a meeting, let me see if it's that week.
That would be
That's
nice.
here, or?
Mhm,
Yeah.
it'll be in this room.
So it'll be in here, and then we'll just make it a hybrid, and then anybody who can't make it because they're working. We do have some people who are still working.
So you'll
So
send us
sad.
the Zoom?
I'll make I can make up an agenda and I'll put the Zoom link right in the agenda.
Unfortunately, I
Thank
do
you.
have that is the week I have my
Yeah,
call with India, so that's
well,
hard to, can't change.
can't change that.
What would be the title
Meeting.
of the meeting, kickoff meeting for?
Stakeholder meeting,
Sea level monitoring, is that what you said?
sea level monitoring, and I've learned to keep these all straight by their number. CAG 2024-5.
Which is Community Action Grant.
Yeah,
Ooh, good for
And what
you.
does GOPIF stand for? Governor's Office
it's
of.
of innovation in the future,
Policy.
policy,
Innovation.
innovation in the future. But I get really confused with the names of all of them that we've got, so I've learned if I just use that number, I know exactly what I'm talking about. All right. There's something else I want to bring up. Oh, we had a meeting with the, beginning with Habitat person, Greg Leclerc, talking about freshwater wetlands. Conservation Commission wants to start giving them a little more attention and getting people to really get excited as he is about them. And he was really good.
He
He's
was
the
excellent.
municipal
And
planner.
for the main Beginning with Habitat program.
He was
And
for Habitat for Humanity.
No, begins with Habitat.
Beginning with Habitat,
Beginning with,
That's the name of it?
yeah,
yeah.
it's a state agency in Department of yada, yada, yada,
IF&W.
IF&W, I think. So the biggest thing is he kept talking about things you could do. And I think it's a really good way to get people excited about doing things. So he was talking about Big Night, which is, of course, you have a program. This is really something that Land Trust could get involved with, but get people start thinking about why we need wetlands and forests.
So big night is the night where people go out and essentially escort migrating amphibians
Across the road.
We
Yeah.
did that, it was fun. We did that.
We've done it in the past.
Yeah.
And-
For frogs and
And we're always talking about how to get people involved
for the ones that.
and thinking about what we're even doing with Waterwise. And I'm thinking the more projects that we can do that have these little fun things, like even Nancy's little dropping a string down with a quarter,
Everybody has laughed to find out how deep the water is in your well.
those kind of things I think get people, though, will get people thinking
and
about
wildlife?
with the
But what was
Waterwise.
the topic?
So I just wanted to mention it because I think it's something we can keep in mind as we do this.
It certainly ties into water awareness, like, yeah, it's very tied in. The places that salamanders like to be are under
It's-
logs that are holding moisture.
Exactly.
And if you clean up your woods too much, then it's not there
It's
and there's no
gone, and
salamanders and it makes the water go
They're gonna soak up all
faster.
this water
Yeah,
for your
it's
well.
so good. It all ties
It
in
all
beautifully.
Yeah, it does.
No?
And we get kind of involved with the scientific reasons, but if you can start talking to that direction, and if you get kids involved, I think,
Their parents learn, and their grandparents learn.
yeah, they do too, yeah. Okay, there's no other business that anybody wants to bring up? We will adjourn at 5:30. Our next meeting is October 7th.
Yay.